I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Joanne, will you lead us in the opening prayer?
I'm going to lead you in 60 seconds of reflection because I see a lot of reflection coming from everybody. And I think it's always a good idea to think carefully and diligently and hopefully about what we are going to say. So please bow your heads for 60 seconds of reflection. We ask for God's help and guidance in every decision that we make tonight. Amen.
Amen. Roll call.
Ms. Wynn? Here. Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Mr. Clement?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
Ms. Sonic? Here. Mr. Booth?
Here.
Mr. Flowers?
Here. Mr. President, can I dial the city manager?
Sure. Well, hold on, what do you do?
Yeah.
Mr. Tom.
Hey, Tom, it's Corey.
Mr. Corey Taylor, sir, how are you?
I'm doing well. We've started the meeting. Just wanted to dial you in here.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, we have 4 different minutes. And I don't know actually how to handle the ones from the last council. None of us were on council for the last 2 meetings. But there is 3 members here. Oh, wait a minute.
There's 4 members.
That's 4, yeah, there is, okay. So we were probably, the ones that weren't here were probably abstaining, and the 4 members that were here. So did everyone, the first meeting we need to vote on?
It's the first one in November.
First meeting in November. We need a motion by somebody that was there to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Second. Call the roll.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Abstain.
Ms. Sonic? Yes. Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Abstain, John. Abstain.
Ms. Wynn?
Abstain.
Okay.
And then on the second meeting in November, we need somebody to make a motion on those minutes.
There were no minutes.
Actually,
Oh, yeah, there were.
Well, I just,
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to excuse Ms. Sonic, Mr. Booth, and myself from that meeting. We were unable to attend, so there was no quorum.
I don't think there was a meeting to be excused from, but
That's one of the, but we need to be excused from that meeting.
I'll send you. Yeah, okay, that's no problem.
Also.
hold on.
Just for everyone's thing, in your charter, you have to miss 3 meetings in a row for anything to happen. So since you're all here tonight, it wouldn't matter anyway, but we're just basically doing it for,
Are we under discussion?
yes, we're in the discussion.
Okay, so yes, I would like to have that officially documented.
Oh, that's
We were
fine.
excused.
Yeah, that's why we're doing it, but it has no actual effect because in the charter, you have to miss 3 meetings in a row to have anything happen to you. So it's just a formality and something to do for the people that miss.
Mr.
Any
Clement?
other comment? Don't call the roll.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic? Yes. Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yeah.
Ms. Wynn? Yes. Taylor?
Yes.
Okay. Did I misunderstand your email wrong? Did we have to meet a special meeting in November that we needed to?
No, it was just that meeting. I just
Oh, okay.
did a page that said it was
Okay, now the next minutes we need to approve,
December 4th.
December December the 4th.
Mr. President, that actually was not an actual meeting. The actual meeting was December 6th.
Minutes prepared for both of them. What, my position, it was a lawfully called meeting. And there was lawful public notice and the public showed up, so whatever action taken there should be, the minutes should be recorded for 1/21/22. But I'll let Jonathan. It's kind of the safest thing to do.
Well, if you recall, the two of the four people were not even, their term hadn't begun yet on the 4th.
Well, that Jonathan ruled that was the safest action to take. But I also would argue, if we had to argue to point out that since Nancy was a sitting council member, I was a city council member, and Johnny was a sitting council member, that the meeting would have been legal by charter. The meeting was legally called. We decided as a council to be safe just to recall it. So I think since the meeting was legally called by 1/21/22, 1/21/22 requires us to have minutes for that meeting. And I don't think there's a whole lot of minutes in that to discuss, but I think the safest thing to do, but we'll let Jonathan.
I don't believe the meeting was ever actually called to order.
Well, my recollection was it was not called to order and there was no motion to adjourn. So given that reality, it would be difficult to argue that the meeting was held. I definitely take the point about wanting to comply with the requirements of reporting the conduct taken, but since the meeting wasn't called, there's no motion to adjourn, there wasn't any action taken by council. I mean, there was discussion, but.
Well, we had discussions, and I think those discussions should be prioritized in the minutes, just so someone could say what happened, and in the minutes they'll say, we decided to recall the meeting on the 6th. I mean, I think the safest thing to do is to have the minutes.
I think we've been advised already, the safest thing to do is to let it go by our legal counsel.
I don't think he said that. That was the safest thing.
Well, I mean, I think the correct analysis is there was no meeting called to order. And based off of that, council can report those events how it sees fit, but I don't think a meeting was called on that day, called to order.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Excuse me. What do you councilmen that are objecting to that meeting have the objection of having the minutes? Why did you object to the meeting? You said we weren't council members at the time of the meeting,
Correct.
right?
At the
At the time when you called the meeting, so it didn't.
So it wasn't a properly called meeting.
Correct.
So,
I just think we all promise to be transparent. And the most transparent thing to do is to record what happened at that meeting. And there's no harm to anybody but saying what happened at that meeting. And we have all promised to try to be as transparent to the public as humanly possible.
It's still on YouTube.
We also have an obligation to follow proper procedure as well, but
I think proper procedure would be either way if we decided.
it's already memorialized on YouTube, so I don't think this is something we need to spend all night on.
Yeah, but 1/21/22 requires that you have minutes, and I think we called a meeting. And at least we need to say somewhere, somehow that we decided not to have the meeting or whatever, but that needs to be memorialized.
So let me ask you a question then, please.
Yeah.
Did we cover everything that was on your agenda that you wanted to be covered for that evening?
Well, we did swear in people, that's one of them. We didn't do all of them, but we
Okay,
did.
so we didn't really go through the agenda item then, all the agenda items, so it doesn't seem like
We went through
actually
one
did
of
the
them,
agenda.
and maybe two. And I just think we've promised to be to be transparent. So what does it hurt to say?
So what are we not being transparent about? I'm confused.
Because ORC 12122 says that any meeting that is called, you are supposed to memorialize the minutes and have the clerk publish those minutes.
But it wasn't called to order and there was not adjournment, correct?
But we did meet and we did discuss. And I just make a motion that we pass those minutes.
I second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic?
No.
Mr. Booth?
No.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Ms. Lynn?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
No.
Mr. Clement?
No,
Okay, the December 6th minutes. So I make a motion on that.
Any discussion on that one?
Go ahead.
Talking about the rules of conduct and ethics that you said was horribly anti-First Amendment or something along those lines. Said you're sending it back to committee. This was a passed ordinance.
Is that in the minutes? Is what I said in the minutes?
It is, as a matter of fact.
Well, we're voting on the minutes right now.
Okay. So my question is talking about procedure. You said, and it's in the minutes, that you wanted to send it back to committee. Is that the proper way to send a passed ordinance to repeal that?
I'm just plain telling you that I'm not signing those.
It's the law of the city, correct?
What?
It's the law of the city of four of these council people who are sitting right now who voted yes on it. So that is law. So does that mean we can disregard any ordinance that's been passed?
You can disregard any unconstitutional ordinance been passed.
Okay.
And we also have, as a new council, have the right to make our own rules, and which I think the Judiciary Committee is going to work on that.
Okay, so if I don't like.
And
the ordinance
I
that
don't
says
thi-
it's
I do
35
not
Canal
think-
Street, I don't have to drive 35
I do,
Canal Street.
no, I do not think that the old council can enforce new rules on the new council.
So none of the laws that were passed before we sat at this.
We didn't say that.
I think what is on the floor right now is simply whether or not the minutes are gonna be accepted. That's it. No other discussions.
but under that, we are allowed to discuss that
Okay,
with
But-
additions and or corrections to the minutes.
If it's not in the minutes, yes, you can suggest that the minutes be corrected. If the minutes are wrong that were presented to everybody, you can tell Susan why, and we'll amend the minutes before we vote on them.
I propose that, the discussion on code of conduct will come up at a later time, so.
That's fine.
So there's a motion on the floor.
And we got the motion to approve the December 6th meeting. Okay, no, we need that motion.
motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
Ms. Sonic? Yes. Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen?
Yes,
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes. Now we are to citizens' comments. And please, yeah, come on over. And please state your name and your address and say what you have to say.
I just have good comments tonight. Joanne LaRue, and I live on West Washington Street. And I am very, very pleased that city council saw fit, or the city manager saw fit to repaint the lines on Canal Street. There have been a lot of people, myself included, that come home at night, and I'm real sorry, I can't see those lines. And when there's big trucks parked there, I can't even see hardly anything else. But I want to thank Jason for researching the project, because it was at a time when not a lot of people were available, and then giving that information to our city manager, who approved the process. And now the people that have doctor's appointments in Columbus and Lancaster and have to come home after dark, the people that work there, the people that go to Athens or Nelsonville or Logan, we have a way of finding our way, at least through Canal Street, to where we live. And I want to thank you a great deal for that. It means a lot. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak?
King of Sherman, 317 Fort Street. A lot of good things happened this weekend. Fire department went shopping for the Toys for Kids up in Lancaster. A lot of good stuff there. People volunteered to help out with that, which brings me to the next issue at hand. Mr. Coleman, I will not be stopped. I'm driving around trying to take pictures of my truck here, there, everywhere.
Mr. President,
I won't be
any
stopped.
citizen commenting has to address council as a whole, not individual.
Okay, I'll address the council as a whole then. Control him, because he's. I'm
Mr.
not gonna put up
President, the
with-
citizen is out of line. It's not following. the-
Allow him to
Hold on a minute, everybody calm down a minute. Dan, read,
Okay, so basically, I just want to say,
so, kind
I don't want to be
of, just
stopped.
a second, I want you to stop, but kind of pull it down and tell everybody why you object to what happened.
Well, I object to somebody running around taking pictures of people volunteering for projects that they never even volunteered for. So,
Mr.
I'm a
President,
citizen now.
These
No,
lines, this is
stop.
out of line. I call to order.
yeah. Well, I've been
I
there
don't
for a
think the
while.
citizen's out of order by saying what he objects
Under
to.
rules, council rules, and rules of conduct, this is out of line, out of Robert's Rules of Order, this is out of line.
I'm not going, I am not
And he
going,
continues to make comments.
order a second, I am not going to stifle a citizen's comments, even if they're sitting there giving me the devil. Under the First Amendment, we allow people to come to the platform and to speak. And as long as they're not threatening violence or something in that effect, I am going to allow them to speak, even if they are reading my pedigree. And we just have to say, thank you for your comments and move on.
Mhm.
Anybody else wish to speak? Okay, business and organizational comments, if I can say it. Okay, committee discussions. I don't think we've had a committee. Have you guys had a committee meeting after the first meeting in November, or no committee discussions? Department updates.
Police department tonight.
Okay,
So for the month of November, we had a total of 379 calls for service, conducted 124 traffic stops, issued 58 citations, 8 parking citations, 13 trespasses, responded to 9 traffic crashes, made 27 criminal arrests and 12 warrant arrests. As well, we started using a fuel tank here at the city building, so we're now getting bulk fuel as opposed to going to the gas station and filling up our cruisers. We had an ornament decorating event at the Hive, so we had a pretty good time with a bunch of the local kids. We've had negotiations, or not negotiations, but discussions with the Brookville Village Council to renew our policing contract, which expires at the end of the year. So tentatively, they emailed me a contract tonight. I haven't had a chance to review the complete thing, but I'll be sending it to the city manager and law director for them. It's pretty much the same as before, except in lieu of some money the first year, they'll be giving us a 2015 cruiser that they have and no longer need. It's in pretty good shape, so I think it'll be a pretty fair trade.
can you tell me the first mayor's court date? The next mayor's court date?
I'm not sure about that.
You said that to me before.
Yeah. And that's also something you guys will need to figure out is who's gonna become the magistrate, the mayor's court.
Well, that's something that we all need to discuss as council. I would prefer having a magistrate instead of a mayor, your council would be my preference, but we haven't discussed that as a whole council. And Jonathan will have to get in the middle of that. I should say Mr. Rove, I'm sorry. That's the same way with me. If anybody wants to call me Greg, I'm fine with it. I don't need to be called Mr. President or whatever. I'm trying to get us to be as friendly as possible. But if you have mayor's court scheduled this month, I'm gonna have to hear it.
We have everything sent to municipal court for this month.
Okay, we're good.
just to make sure there was no issue with that.
Okay, we're good. I would like for us to have a discussion whether to keep running mayor's court with the mayor or have a hire magistrate to, and we need as a whole council to have that discussion and maybe get a recommendation from our law director.
Mr. President, would that not go through committee first? A discussion?
Well, we're gonna have to have that discussion pretty quick, and I think we should just have it as a full council, because, if we're not going to hire a magistrate, then we're gonna have to have two people go to mayor's court training on the 12th. And we don't really need to spend that money for mayor's court training on two people to go to mayor's court training if we are going to hire a magistrate to hear mayor's court.
But how could we possibly get through that process before mayor's court? Even if we discuss it as a council?
Well, we need to get through that process before we send money to the municipal league to have two people trained. And if we're not gonna do that, but we'll save that discussion for the good of the order, and I'll bring it up, and maybe John can enlighten everybody on what the process is. But I would much prefer to have a licensed lawyer sit here during mayor's court and hear the cases. And we'll bring that up, and we'll have a complete discussion about it on good of the order. Would that be it?
Whatever is a pleasure.
Okay. Any other department updates?
Tonight.
Yes. Okay, second readings. Do we have any second reading?
No.
No second readings. First reading.
Just reading. Ordinance 7023, would somebody like to introduce it?
I'll introduce.
An ordinance approving wastewater treatment plant phase 2 change order 9 for Nelsonville Regional Collection System project and declaring an emergency. Whereas the city of Nelsonville has entered into a contract phase 2 wastewater treatment plant. Whereas additional changes to the contract are recommended in order to complete the contract. Whereas this will be change order 9 for this project. Whereas the purpose of this change order is for compensation to resolve various outstanding closeout items for completion and commissioning of the wastewater treatment plant. Whereas there is sufficient contingency money available to fund this change order. Whereas the change will increase the contract price by $90,497.60 and is summarized as attached in Exhibit 1. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the City of Nelsonville, Athens County, Ohio as follows. The City of Nelsonville hereby approves change order 9 for the phase 2 wastewater treatment plant contract as described in Exhibit 1, attached hereto and incorporated into this ordinance as if rewritten fully within. The contract price will be increased by a sum of $90,497.60. The change order is for the compensation to resolve several outstanding closeout items for completion and commissioning of the wastewater treatment plant. City Manager Thomas Kajimi shall have the authority to enter into, accept, and or authorize the contract change order 9 for phase 2 wastewater treatment plant contract as shown in Exhibit 1. This ordinance is being passed as an emergency measure pursuant to ORC 731.30, Article 4, Sections 4.09 through 4.11, as an emergency in the operation of the city government and is necessary for the immediate preservation of the public peace, health, safety, morals, or welfare of the city, and this ordinance shall be in full force and effect upon its adoption. Duly enacted by council on first reading and suspension of the rules the 11th day of December 2023.
Any public comment on this ordinance? Okay, council discussion on this ordinance. Michael, would you like to?
Well, yeah, I'm here, good evening, everybody. I'm here, I can answer any questions about it. This covers about 15, 20 different items. Some of them were, when we started the plan up, it was that Monday, we're gonna turn the valves, and there was various things we had to work through to get some of the systems I'm the contractor, I felt were due, it was fair to pay them for. I want to point out that we didn't approve all the requests that came in. We rejected quite a few. And then there's a lot of what I would call owner requested change pricing in here for things to add. For example, a plaque at the plant. We never had a plaque in there, and we thought if we got down to it, then we could add one. So there's $3,800 in there for that. And there were some things for when this project originally started, it was one big project, and we broke it into phases. Well, we built a $1 million pump station down there at the old plant, and we ran off of it going to the old plant using bypass piping for well over a year, 2 years, while the new plant was being built. Well, that flow was supposed to go through a flow meter that sat there for a couple of years, and it was being bypassed. We had to program that thing, troubleshoot it. In fact, part of this includes programming that into the SCADA. So there's a litany of things. We talked about them regularly through the progress meetings, and worked with Tom to, I made a recommendation to him to bring it before council. So any questions I can answer?
Were any of the older things brought before the utility committee or discussed with them?
Throughout the life of the project?
Yeah.
It was very rare. There might have been once that we did that.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
Did Mr. Conjimmy go over this?
Yes, I sent it to him, and I spoke to him verbally, and he said he was good with it.
Did he go over it?
Who's on the phone?
Did he look at the items that compensation to resolve various outstanding closeout items? I imagine it's what you spoke of just now, things that
Yeah.
subcontractors came back to you and said, we need this, we need that to finish the job.
Yeah, we went through it in open meeting during the progress meeting. We went through every one of these claims.
Oh, yeah. Yes, we did.
He's on the phone. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank God.
God spoke for the.
Yeah, really. Well, I guess my question is,
Michael, we discussed it at full length, and there was some legitimate cost overruns, and you'll be pleased to hear that United States Department of Agriculture will pick up those cost overruns. So it's of no cost to the city at that point. Yes, it'll be part of our loan, but it'll be no immediate cost to us.
part of our loan.
When you say no immediate cost, what exactly does that mean?
Well, basically, to see if I can make a long story short, the total cost of the project was probably close to $24 million. When it's all said and done with forgiveness and grants, we'll be having a loan for around $10 million for 40 years at around 1 or 1.5% interest. Our payments will start in January of 2025. And with the rate increase that council has approved by then, we'll be able to afford the loan payment that will start almost a year from now, basically on our new system. And the Lord willing, if we have the right wherewithal to be able to get more monies to pay that grant down even further, we will. But I think we've done very well. I've never seen that much grant money be applied to one project, especially from the United States Department of Agriculture. So I'm very pleased that we've got that. And all our constituents are pretty pleased that we have the regional sewer system in our backyard.
So why does it need to be passed as an emergency if this is something that clearly, give you with some time? I mean, why could it not have been passed in a different manner?
Michael, can you answer that question?
Well, every change order we brought forth has been via emergency because it's an ongoing construction project. Some of these items have been completed, a lot of them have not. So the contract, it takes time to get the materials. Just taking the plaque, for example, there'll be several weeks to get that in. Once you've approved that, they'll make the order, and we want to try to get that in for the ribbon cutting. That's just one example. There's several other items of the work to be done. Okay, it gets the contractor scheduled, they can get in, get it done, and we can get the project closed out.
Can I sort of make a little suggestion for in the future?
Certainly.
That if we know that we're going to have change orders, that we schedule a utility committee meeting, and that we try to keep regular order with two readings and and without passing emergency. And I think that we're all new and we're just gonna have to take everybody's word because we haven't been there to look at the process, but in the future, on future projects, if there's gonna be change orders, can we, have them run to the utility committee, have the utility committee, recommend them, and then do the regular 2 meetings without the emergency, if we can plan ahead that much. If we can't, well, we understand.
I can answer by saying I'll do everything in our power to do that. I'd be happy to attend any, committee meetings to discuss in advance, so you're prepped for the special meeting. The readings, there's a lot of the things are timely. For example, the next one you're going to discuss is for meter pits, for the water project. And, they're asking me, are those approved? Are those approved? Because they're starting pits. So sometimes with the
They're starting to do hookups.
Yeah.
They started today.
Okay.
So, but I will, and if I might add, we still have 922,000 left in the contingency fund. And to date, we've spent 4.2% on the change orders, so we're in pretty good shape as it goes overall. That's good. 5's kind of an average.
Okay, we need a motion to suspend the rules.
Can I ask one question?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Why is a plaque costing $3,800?
Well, it's bronze. And everything is outrageous.
Does it have to be bronze?
No, you could do aluminum, and it would be a little cheaper,
There you go.
if you prefer aluminum. But
But you're making them out there was like, so it's this big?
it's about that tall, and I think it's 18 by 24.
Does it really need to be that big?
Yeah, if it's aluminum, it probably won't matter, but or if it's
Well,
bronze.
no, I don't know. That's the reason I'm asking.
The bronze one stamped,
It's got raised letters, if
There you
that's, yeah, if that's.
so
what
it's
it
stamped
is.
versus aluminum, you wouldn't get really stamped. Be more of a coating.
So it's got raised letters.
Stamped
Why
bronze
was
will last,
$3,800?
stamped bronze will last a lot longer, basically for life.
Contractors write 15% on everything for the contract, so they'll get the price, and it adds up so quick when you start having those ones.
Thank you.
Okay, if we're gonna suspend the rules, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion, please.
Second. Call the roll on suspension?
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic? Yes.
And now we need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic? Yes.
Yes.
And I remember what Nancy told me last meeting, that passed. I'm trying. Okay, order 7123.
Would you like to introduce it?
I'll introduce it.
Thank you. An ordinance approving change order 3 for the Nelsonville Water System Improvement Phase 2 project contract and declaring an emergency. Whereas the city of Nelsonville has entered into a contract for the Nelsonville Water System Improvements Phase 2. Whereas a change to the general contract is recommended in order to complete the contract. Whereas this will be change order 3 for this project. Whereas the purpose of this change order is to replace 100 existing meter pits as required when replacing the existing meter setters at a cost of $132.25 each. Whereas the funds will be drawn from the contingency portion of this project, in which there is enough to cover the increased price. Whereas the change will increase the contract price by $13,225 and is summarized as attached in Exhibit 1. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the City of Nelsonville, Athens County, Ohio as follows. The City of Nelsonville hereby approves change order 3 for the Nelsonville Water System Improvements Phase 2 project contract as described in Exhibit 1, attached here to and incorporated into this ordinance as if rewritten fully within. The contract price will be increased by the sum of $13,225. The change is necessary to replace the existing meter pits as necessary when replacing the existing meter setters. The city manager shall have the authority to enter into, accept, and/or authorize the contract change order 3 for Nelsonville Water System Improvements Phase 2 project contract as shown in Exhibit 1. This ordinance is being passed as an emergency measure pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 731.30, Article 4, Section 4.09 through 4.11, as an emergency in the operation of the city government and is necessary for the immediate preservation of the public peace, health, safety, morals, or welfare of the city. And this ordinance shall be in full force and effect upon its adoption. Bill enacted by council on first reading under suspension of the rules the 11th day of December 2023.
Does anybody in the public have a comment on this ordinance? Okay, any council discussion? I think you answered the question. Okay, we need a motion to suspend.
So moved. Second.
Call it on suspension.
Ms. Nguyen?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
We need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen?
Yes.
And the next one is ordinance 7223. Would somebody like to introduce that?
Oh, wait a minute, we got an amended agenda, don't we?
Yes, we did.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Okay, how many do we have?
1, 2, 3 ordinances and a resolution. I don't know which one.
Okay. On, let's just amend them one at a time. I'll see. Okay, motion to amend is it 4 and 1 resolution? We need to give the numbers though.
The resolution is duplicative of the ordinance, so only one of the two. will be-
Okay, we don't need to do the resolutions because Jonathan redone it as an ordinance.
Okay, it's 7273.
72, 73, and 74. Ordinance. We need a motion to amend the agenda for ordinance 72, 73, and 74.
So moved.
Second.
Let's see, Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Okay, now 72, 23, someone that want to introduce it.
I will.
An ordinance amending the 2023 appropriations ordinance to amend the appropriations at the close of business on December 31st, 2023 to match the actual expenditures and anticipated receipts through December 31st, 2023. Whereas the appropriations ordinance needs to be adjusted at the close of business each year, so the funds appropriated match actual expenditures and anticipated receipts. Now therefore be ordained by the council of the city of Nelsonville, Athens County, Ohio as follows. The 2023 appropriations are amended at the close of business on December 31st, 2023 to match actual expenditures and anticipated receipts through December 31st, 2023. The total appropriations are increased and decreased by said amount. 5 members of council voting to dispense with the 2 readings of this ordinance. The rules are hereby suspended for this ordinance, and this ordinance is hereby enacted on the first reading to ORC 731.15 and the Nelsonville City Charter Sections 4.09 through 4.11. This ordinance shall take effect at the earliest time permitted by law, duly enacted by council on first reading on the 11th day of December 2023.
I have a question. Shouldn't just, if we're gonna, if it goes in effect immediately, oh, this is appropriation, so we don't need an We don't need emergency on appropriation. Okay, good, that's correct. Okay. Public comment on this. Anybody want to comment publicly? Council comment?
I have a question.
Yes.
I might be way off base with this question, so excuse me for that, but, aren't we talking about just accounting here? Isn't this just a debit and ledger columns with accounting numbers in it and you balance it?
It is. It's the routine year out close.
But is it, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but is this saying if they don't balance, we're gonna automatically balance them?
No. So essentially what it is it allows us to close out appropriations and expenditures for the year. This is the same format the city has used for at least a couple decades. That's what I was in Susan's office looking at when you walked in. But essentially it allows us to say, here's all our expenditures, here are all our receipts. They match at the end of the year, and the appropriation side. And then we close it out. So what that means is this council is no longer authorizing further expense beyond the 31st.
So it's not saying if we don't balance, it's okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right.
That's a whole different.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Confused.
Thank you. Good question.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Motion to suspend the rules.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic? Yes. Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen? Yes. Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Motion to adopt.
So moved. Second.
Ms. Sonic? Yes. Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen? Yes. Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes. Ordinance 7223 passes. Alright. Ordinance 7323. Someone want to introduce it?
I will.
An ordinance authorizing renewal of the city's membership with Ohio Small Group.
Just a second, because I want to ask. Since this is a contract, should we add an emergency on that one, you ready?
So my understanding from conversation with the city auditor, since there's no immediate need for it, this is just ensuring that the city maintains its position on the
Yeah, but
board.
if we don't, we can pass it tonight, but if we don't put an emergency on it, it don't go into effect for 30 days. Is that all right?
I think so.
That's what was.
The law director asked me, sorry, I didn't.
No, go ahead.
That's on Friday, and I told him the agency, the consortium, will likely take council's acquiescence as everything they need. But I mean, council, of course, is free to add an emergency, but I don't.
Do you
think it's
recommend it to be safe, or are you confident it would be all right if we don't?
Well, to steal a phrase from the new law director, it'd be safer to have it, sure.
Okay, before you read the ordinance, put and declare an emergency on it, then reread it before it gets read.
I'll add the language in right now, and then send it back. So we can have it, I'll just have the email.
Correct, but if we stop her before she read it, we don't have to amend the ordinance. So that's why I stopped her.
Then I'll add the emergency.
And
language
declare
this
it,
one.
add at the top and declare
Yeah.
emergency.
An ordinance authorizing renewal of the city's membership with Ohio Small Groups Pool for the next 3 fiscal years, July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2027, and declaring an emergency. Whereas the city has maintained its membership in Ohio's Small Groups Pool and has a seat on the Ohio Small Groups Pool Board. Whereas the city's membership needs to be renewed for the next 3 fiscal years, July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2027. Whereas the city's membership must be renewed so that the city can retain its seat on the Ohio Small Groups Pool Board. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the City of Nelsonville, Athens County, Ohio as follows. The city manager is hereby authorized to enter into agreement with the Ohio Small Groups Pool Board to renew the city's membership for the next 3 fiscal years, July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2027. The city auditor shall take all steps necessary to complete and effectuate this agreement. This ordinance is being passed as an emergency measure pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 731.30, Article 4, Sections 4.09 through 4.11, as an emergency in the operation of the city government and is necessary for the immediate preservation of the public peace, health, safety, morals, or welfare of the city, and its ordinance shall be in full force and effect upon its adoption. Duly enacted by council on first reading under suspension of the rules the 11th day of December 2023.
Any public comment on this ordinance? Council.
Mr. Shabbington, would you explain to the citizens of Nelsonville exactly what this is, please?
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Councilwoman. Good evening, everybody. The Ohio Small Groups Pool is our health insurance consortium for the employees. We self-insure here, which means that we pay premiums and they pay out of that consortium with that cash. We don't pay a big company to cover us. In other words, we're in that consortium with Belpre, who's meeting tonight to discuss the same piece of legislation, as well as the jail and one other village whose name is escaping me. This authorizes our membership within the group, which is to say it does not lock us into any of the benefit levels. If council would like to change the health coverage, it's totally up to council to do so in the future. But it maintains our membership on the board where we get to vote on board discussions and for the consortium. Does that answer the question?
How do we, as the council, know what the benefits are being given to the employees?
That's a great question. So you probably will get much more acquainted under these labor negotiations, since they're ongoing. That'll be when you folks will understand and basically be able to make those decisions will be a contract time, because the contracts will dictate the next 3 years.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So clearly this is important, to make sure that we continue in the same, group. So my question is, again, why is this brought to us at the very last minute? I mean, why was this not, done the way it's supposed to be done? Since, I mean, if we've been a part of this group for some time, then we should know that we have this coming up in 3, 4, 5 months. We need to go ahead and start working on that to take care of it instead of waiting to the absolute last possible moment. So that's my question.
So it's a good question. I'm going to answer somewhat bluntly, but with all due respect to current and previous council members. This was sent to council in October.
Okay.
This was sent to the finance committee as well. Unfortunately, the November committee, it was discussed that there was sickness and folks unable to make the November meeting. That was at the same time. And then if our Councilman Comet doesn't mind me saying that we actually did discuss having another finance after the election. And I totally respect his position because it was deferential to you new folks. He was of the opinion that the finance committee no longer was constituted at that point because you guys had new folks coming on board. So this is my way of saying it absolutely was tried multiple times, and would have loved to had it done sooner as well. That's not a blame to anybody. It's not even calling out Mr. Clement. I just wanted to explain the kind of how this process played out.
But it says in here, this is the first reading. Is this the first reading one?
It is. It is.
So it was never read to any council except for right now.
That's right. That's right. It was my goal to have the finance committee review it for the first time, some time ago.
Right.
At this point, we have reached the deadline point where, unless council was to have another meeting this month, which I understand to be unlikely since it's Christmas Day, this is pretty much the last chance.
I read up on this a little bit because it kind of interests me to, and I read up a little bit, of course, on the Google stuff, and I got the most recent information, and it actually says that these pools aren't as beneficial as what people think they are. And I understand that the group gets together and you receive more benefits supposedly with that group of people.
Tony, I may be able to answer you that because I have a long history of trying to keep the city in health insurance for our. If we had 200 employees, that would be true. It wouldn't be beneficial. But most insurance companies do not want small groups because you can have 2 people in that small group have a heart attack or have to go get a bypass operation and you've blown the financials out versus having 200 people in the group or 300 people in the group. And if a couple people have big bills, it's not as.
But that's divided, that's
So
between all the people.
what happened, yeah, so what happened to us, and I think Taylor was on council at the time too, we kept getting humongous increases in our health insurance. And we went to this small pool to try to get more people into the pool. So when we had a bad experience, it didn't shove our cost way up. Would you agree with that analysis?
I would. It was absolutely breaking us at the time. I think Councilman Taylor was on the council as well. And the national average, according to our last board meeting, was 18% per year since the pandemic. That's increase in health insurance costs. In the last 3 years since the pandemic, the consortium has been able to deliver 1, 3, 10. Obviously, we'd love to 10 to be lower, but according to the stats, have been pretty strong. I do think it's up to council in the future to decide what kind of plan, what kind of benefits, what kind of approach.
Who sits on the board?
So the city manager and I both represent
You're on the
Nelsonville,
board,
and the mayor and auditor for Belpre, I forget his name as soon as I'm going to say it, Director Van Biver at the jail for the jail. And at the moment, we actually have more folks who want in the consortium than we have spots available.
Is that a thing where you divide the money up when somebody gets?
You have a larger risk pool.
Right.
And
Are the premiums?
well, for instance, I think I remember the last premium we were facing before we went to the small pool. I think it was 24%.
I think so.
Yeah, so we developed a pool so as to try to get a larger risk group, and then by having a larger risk group, it held the cost. Insurance is risk sharing, so.
I'll add one last thing too to help with any of the information or questions. The administrators for the pool have always expressed their willingness that if anybody would like a meeting, either one-on-one or in front of the whole group, the public and council as a whole, they're very willing to do so.
Are you saying we're not locked into this? We are locked into this, right?
We would be locked into membership, but not locked into.
Is this just a membership thing?
That's my understanding, yeah. It's because when you go into negotiations, essentially right now, council and the employees are gonna decide what the actual benefits and offerings are.
Right.
And then sign the agreement.
Yeah, gotcha.
So, but yeah, I can let them know at the next meeting that the council, everyone's agreeable. I would love to.
Well, if we got to vote on it, you'd think we need to know what we're voting on. Something.
For sure.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Any other council discussion? Okay, I think we need a motion to suspend the rules.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Ms. Quinn? Yes. Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Now we need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Flowers?
Yes.
Ms. Quinn? Yes. Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Okay, we have ordinance 7423 and ordinance 7323 passed. Someone want to introduce it?
I'll introduce it.
An ordinance confirming the city manager's appointment of Attorney Jonathan E. Rowe to be city attorney for the month of December 2023, and authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract thereto,
Well, no, and to declare an emergency.
and declaring an emergency. Whereas the office of city attorney needs to be filled. Whereas the city manager has authorized pursuant to Nelsonville City Charter, section 5.041, to appoint a qualified person to serve as city attorney, which qualifications are set forth in Nelsonville City Charter 6.05. Whereas the city manager's appointment of a city attorney is subject to confirmation and approval by council as set forth in Nelsonville City Charter, sections 4.08, 11 and 6.05. Whereas the city manager has appointed Jonathan E. Rowe to be city attorney for the month of December 2023. Whereas said Jonathan E. Rowe possesses requisite qualifications to serve as city attorney for the month of December 2023. Now therefore be it ordained by the council of the city of Nelsonville, Athens County, Ohio as follows. The city manager's appointment of Attorney Jonathan E. Rowe to be city attorney for the month of December 2023 is hereby confirmed and approved by a majority of council. The city manager or such person as the city manager may designate to act on behalf of the city manager is hereby authorized to enter into a contract with Jonathan E. Rowe for compensation for the city attorney for the month of December 2023. A copy of the contract is attached hereto as Exhibit A and is incorporated in its entirety for the purposes as if set forth herein. The compensation for the city attorney for the month of December 2023 shall be as provided and set forth in Exhibit A. The city attorney for the month of December 2023 shall have such authority and duties as are set forth in the Nelsonville City Charter for the office of city attorney. This can be the emergency.
It is in there.
Yeah, it's already.
Oh, it is here, yeah.
It just wasn't included in the.
5 members of council voting to dispense with 3 readings of this ordinance. The rules are hereby suspended for this ordinance, and this ordinance is hereby enacted on first reading to ORC 731.15 and the Nelsonville City Charter sections 4.09 through 4.11. This ordinance is hereby passed as an emergency measure pursuant to ORC 731.30, Article 4, Sections 4.09 through 4.11 as an emergency in the operation of the city government as the city is in need of legal representation and is necessary for the immediate preservation of the public peace, health, safety, morals, or welfare of the city, and this ordinance shall be in full force and effect upon its adoption. Duly enacted by council on first reading under suspension of the rules the 11th day of December 2023.
I point out a clerical error in paragraph 5. Is this dispense with 2 meetings?
Oh, I changed it.
Yeah. Okay, any public comment on this ordinance? Any council discussion on this ordinance? Oh,
Can we know the compensation?
we have a copy of it, Exhibit A that we can give her.
Yeah, I don't have it today.
I don't have it. I mean, I have it, but I don't have a copy of it.
It's in the email.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't have a copy, but I can make.
I mean, I can make it.
you want to go make her a
If
copy?
I can.
Okay.
We'll check the computer.
I'm sorry, and we'll make sure in the future that all the exhibits are up on the desk so everybody can look at them. But we do have an agreement that was hammered out at the last meeting, and if you want it, we'll make sure you get it. If you want it right now,
Just curious.
no.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, he can go through it.
So it's $200 an hour, capped at $2,000 a week, unless the city manager authorizes additional
hours.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Are you gonna have to hire a new city manager in January?
I mean,
Or
I would
a
hope,
city attorney, or?
I would hope that all we had to do is do another ordinance, making him the permanent city manager. The reason for the
City attorney.
City attorney.
Yeah, city attorney, I'm sorry. The reason for the interim agreement was, we didn't have the city manager with us to hammer out a permanent agreement as to pay. So it was a 1 month deal until we, can agree on what his actual pay and benefits are going to be. Is that, yeah,
I do have an issue with number 2. Number 2 that says that the city manager can designate on his behalf and to hereby authorize and to enter into contract. So why does the city manager need to designate somebody else to the power to deal with contracts? Because the city manager should be the only one that deals with contracts. I do have an issue with that.
I think that's more of a bad phrasing of a sentence.
Okay, but it is here. So
Because,
that's
yeah, I know,
the
and we
last-
could, and if we want to amend it, we can make a motion to amend it, but
Yes,
this, by the charter, the city manager is the only person in the city of Nelsonville that can contract.
correct,
He is the contracting agent.
correct. But
Actually,
here,
we have
he
this.
is,
The city
Yeah.
manager right here.
right, I know. But here, it is saying that he has the ability to pass that power on to someone else. And that is the problem I have. Because once we pass that, then it's gonna be codified, right? And that means that it will be used in the
We'll
future
make a
to say,
motion,
well, it's here.
make a motion to amend.
I make a
do that, yeah.
motion to remove it.
Okay, well, I was gonna say, can we listen to what the city manager had to say? He was gonna comment on that before you.
Because he's
now this will have
not,
to go
I
back.
think, because he's not here and he's gonna have somebody else sign it, is that what it is?
Well, how about we just let him speak?
Yeah,
That'd be
okay.
great, yeah.
Jonathan and I have talked about the agreement. This is an interim agreement. I apologize if the language wasn't clear, but I do have the authority to contract. And I'm not gonna sign my authority away, just for the sake of signing it away. Jonathan and I are giving this a trial period. I'm doing this because he was gracious enough to do this immediately, because I needed somebody because, Bob wanted to retire from public service. And so we're giving this a go. Those are fair terms, and, we will work out the details if he wants to decide to stay and help us out, which I hope you do, Jonathan, because you're doing a great job.
Right, and I don't have a problem with that. I do have a problem with this particular phrasing. If we can take that out and make a motion.
Well, you have to make a
remove that.
motion to amend it.
I make a motion to amend.
Okay, so no further discussion then? We're just making a motion to
Well,
go forward, or? no
Well, it
further-
depends on if the motion gets seconded or not.
Well, because my point is, if you second that motion at this point and it goes forward, then you're gonna have to that's not gonna be on first reading.
Well, we can,
Motion's been made. We have a second, I'll put a motion died for lack of second. Have discussion.
is there a second to the motion? It's
Second.
second. So,
And then allocate. So,
okay,
I
right.
apologize.
No, you're fine,
So, Tom, do you have any objection to putting out the designee? You're gonna sign it yourself, right?
I'm gonna sign it myself, yes. I'm gonna digitally.
Oh,
sign it
so
myself.
to-
I'll sign it myself.
To remove or to remove what's in the parentheses there is your motion, correct, Rita?
If everybody's okay with it, you can all just strike it right now. It'll be fine with me.
Yeah, that's what the motion is.
Okay, but it's already been read, that's my
Well-
concern.
Well, we can reread the motion, then we can have another suspension of the rules.
Are we still under discussion?
Yeah.
So isn't this addressed in the charter? And if we try to change what this language is, that is a violation of the charter?
No, what's in violation of the charter is the sentence that says that the city manager can designate somebody to sign a contract.
Thank you. Yes.
It does actually say he can assign to the police chief.
So the
You
only,
can designate,
only,
so, for instance, if Mr. and Jimmy goes out of town for, say, deployment, he can assign duties to the police chief in his place, in his absence.
well,
At
yes,
that time, he could, because he would be then
if he
acting
had,
as manager.
if he had named Devin as the acting city manager before he left,
Mhm.
yes, he could have. So I'm understanding that he's still acting as city manager. He didn't name Devin, so we got a motion to,
Correct.
And it was seconded.
we got a motion, a second, let's just vote on it, and then we'll reread the ordinance.
So can I have a question too? So this is just for a contract for a month, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so this will be over literally in less than
correct.
a month, really, because this will be when Tom gets back, January 4th. So this is,
I suspect that we will have another ordinance to carve Mr. Rowe for permanently.
and we're still concerned about the language. So is my point. We're only,
Yes.
Well, we're concerned about, Rita's concerned about the language because you don't want to set the
Thank you.
precedent. I'm trying to say it.
The precedent.
I got a new implant, I'm having trouble getting off of it. Yeah, she don't want to set an example that this is acceptable, that in the charter, the only person that can contract is the city manager. So let's vote on the motion and get it over with.
Ms. Nguyen,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
I'm going to say no.
Mr. Clement,
No,
Mr. Smith,
Yes,
Ms. Sonic,
I'm sorry, but what exactly are we voting on right now?
removing that.
Yes.
Booth,
no.
Mr. Flowers.
Okay, now strike that and reread the ordinance. I know, look at me like that. Reread the ordinance with the strike.
For the record, the motion passed.
Yeah, the motion did pass. Motion did.
An ordinance confirming the city manager's appointment of Attorney Jonathan E. Rowe to be city attorney for the month of December 2023 and authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract thereto. Whereas the office of city attorney needs to be filled. Whereas the city manager has authority pursuant to Nelsonville City Charter, section 5.041, to appoint a qualified person to serve as city attorney, which qualifications are set forth in Nelsonville City Charter, section 6.05. Whereas the city manager's appointment of a city attorney is subject to confirmation and approval by council as set forth in Nelsonville City Charter, sections 4.0811 and 6.05. Whereas the city manager has appointed Jonathan E. Rowe to be city attorney for the month of December 2023. Whereas said Jonathan E. Rowe possesses the requisite qualifications to serve as city attorney for the month of December 2023. Now therefore be it ordained by the council of the city of Nelsonville, Athens County, Ohio as follows. The city manager's appointment of attorney Jonathan E. Rowe to be city attorney for the month of December 2023 is hereby confirmed and approved by a majority of council. The city manager is hereby authorized to enter into a contract with Jonathan E. Rowe for compensation for the city attorney for the month of December 2023. A copy of the contract is attached hereto as Exhibit A and is incorporated in its entirety for all purposes as if set forth herein. The compensation for the city attorney for the month of December 2023 shall be as provided and set forth in Exhibit A. The city attorney for the month of December 23 shall have such authority and duties as are set forth in Nelsonville City Charter for the office of city attorney. 5 members of council voting to dispense with the 2 readings of this ordinance. The rules are hereby suspended for this ordinance. And this ordinance is hereby enacted on first reading to ORC 731.15 and the Nelsonville City Charter, section 4.09 through 4.11. This ordinance is hereby passed as an emergency measure pursuant to ORC 731.30, Article 4, sections 4.09 through 4.11 as an emergency in the operation of the city government as the city is in need of legal representation and is necessary for the immediate preservation of the public peace, health, safety, morals, or welfare of the city, and this ordinance shall be in full force and effect upon its adoption. Duly enacted by council on first reading under suspension of the rules the 11th day of December 2023.
I owe you beer. Okay, 2 beers. We're back to council discussion, and we will need a motion to suspend. I'll second.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers? Ms. Graham?
Yes.
Motion, ordinance 74-23 passes 7-0. We don't need to
Is that those on the suspension?
oh yeah, it was on suspension. Thank you. I got
Motion to adopt.
motion to adopt. I'll second. Or whatever. No, we're gonna pass it.
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Thank you, George, for billing me up there. We don't need the resolution because the ordinance it suffices. Okay, let's see what they did here. Where was that? All right, city manager's report.
Good evening, council, and good evening, citizens. I'll try to make this as short as possible. In the last 4 weeks, since our last official council meeting, we've done a great job in the code enforcement office. I hope everyone had a chance to take a look at the flyer. 165 letters were sent out to rental properties and 211 permits were issued, which brought in a total of revenue of $6,180. 2 blocking dumpster permits were issued, 4 events permits were issued, 4 violation complaint letters were sent. These last couple of weeks have been a wonderful time to develop and rebuild relationships with Hockey College. Dr. Betty Young was very happy when we discussed how we can coordinate for putting a new fire tower in on Sylvania Road. And our service director and our fire chief were very instrumental in coming up with a great idea to already tap into the new line where we're putting down the road to be able to supply her with water for that tower. She's very happy. We also wanted to let council know that we had wrote a letter of support for their ongoing Meacham building project with the Department of Development. Also, the public employer risk reduction of the state's OSHA program is very happy with us because, and I want to put a shout out to Fire Marshal Barber for doing a wonderful job with the training to get us in compliance and with our compliance-based programs. And PERPS is very happy with what we've done, so our violations are in the clear. And again, Nelsonville Police, Fire, and Utility Service crews with their team building exercises, that was all part of the compliance issue that we had. Our projects with the wastewater treatment plant, they're coming along really well, and our readiness for the ribbon cutting ceremony is very close. I'd say within a month or so, we'll be able to get that actual date. But what I'm really proud of is that our service crews and everyone that's helped to save us $150,000, which was basically removing the sludge and a lot of the debris before they finally demoed the plant. And the old plant will be probably completely demoed and covered up by the end of this year. So I'm very happy about that. Now, with that said, I didn't get to include one more topic, and I understand Betty Jo Parsley, are you out in the audience today?
She is.
I am.
Well, wonderful, and I'd like to ask you in front of everybody, I'm very happy with what you've done with the Athens City County Board of Health, and I'd like to ask if you'd like to be reappointed again for the next 5 years.
I'd be very honored.
Okay, and if council would basically approve to that, I don't think we need any kind of resolution or ordinance, or if we do, maybe we can bring that up.
I think a motion will suffice. I make a motion to reappoint Betty Jo.
Second.
Thank you.
What's the official title of it?
I'm just a member of the Athens County Health Department Board. I represent you in all business and I'm responsible for helping them with information if they're not able to obtain. But thank you for entrusting me. I've enjoyed these past 5 years very much.
And, what do we get to report? Thank you, that's all I have.
The motion.
Yeah, we have a motion on that.
Yeah, we got to vote on the motion.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic? Yes. Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Ms. Lynn?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
All right, go to the order. Anybody that wants to start?
I guess I'll start. So, I have a list of things that we've been working on previous council. Some of it has been discussed in committee, some has not. But I'd like to read my list and also encourage other council members to come up with ideas going into 2024. So, and this is in no particular order. Dispatching, updating the comprehensive plan, updating the city charter, discussing an HR policy, the DORA, City Hall building security, the Aquatic Center, the trash contract that's set to expire soon, the City Hall roof repair, storm drain system upgrades, paving projects for 24, a 5-year capital improvement plan per the charter, the code enforcement office, the hiring process for a city manager, process for appointment to a vacant seat of council, city boards and commissions, we have a lot of vacancies. City manager job performance review form, Riverside Drive paving, Mayor's Court year-end performance report, campground regulations, rental inspections, and a city council raise. Mr. Flowers, you brought that up previously, potentially a raise for city council members. So.
Never heard that.
Before anybody, that was a joke, but before anybody gets really upset, nobody can get a pay raise until they're elected again. So you have to.
I know, I'm just throwing it. Yeah, I didn't bring this up for discussion tonight.
Okay.
But I would encourage other council members to add to this.
There was, when the email went out on the committee assignments, and I tried to get everybody everything they wanted in some regard. The email was wrong. Did everybody get the updated list? So,
No. I will send it out again.
I could read it if everybody wants, because I emailed it to Susan and the Judiciary Committee will be Rita's chair. Nancy and Greg Clement will be on that committee. Finance Committee, I'll be the chair, and Rita and Corey will be on the committee. And Corey, I'm going to need your help because we're behind the 8 ball on catching up. Parks and Rec will be Corey Taylor, chair, Justin Booth, and Greg Smith. Planning and Development will be Greg Clement, chair, Justin Booth, and Greg Smith. Police and Fire will be Jonathan Flowers, Nancy, and Greg Clement. Utility Committee will be Nancy Sonic, chair, Johnny Flowers and Rita as committee members. Street Committee will be Justin Booth, Corey Taylor, and Jonathan Flowers. And if we can make a motion to approve those, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Call the roll.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers? Ms. Lynn?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Yes. Now, I would ask if you can email that list to everybody and whoever's appropriate on that list to discuss those things. Call a meeting. And because one of the things I had for go to the order tonight, and I would like to start it and even include the public. I think that we have to start enforcing the rental code.
Yes.
And I also think that we need to hire somebody full-time that has the knowledge to, the knowledge that is needed to enforce the rental code. And if we need to make adjustments to the rental code, fine, so be it, we'll try to make them. But I think it's high time that we, and I'll give you an example. I drove up to the cross to, and I'm not being critical of anybody there. I'm just saying, I don't think they have enough help. And I think that we need to actually consider doing something to address these problems aggressively, maybe. I drove up to the cross to look at, where they relit the cross. And I got a 4-wheel drive, so I drove up to the cross. And I was coming back down and looked over to the right. There's about 7 or 8 mattresses laying all over the place. And we have this beautiful tourist attraction. And everywhere we look, there's some kind of violation of the code. And I kind of, if anybody in the public wants to comment, but I kind of think it's time that we find the money and hire somebody full-time, maybe in addition to what we got. But I think it's time that we step up and we get our problem solved.
Yes.
So,
I would agree.
anybody else in the public want to speak?
I think you're dead on. I think that's a great suggestion.
So maybe in the finance committee, see if we can find money to supplement the code office with another full-time person that with actually some job descriptions that require some past experience in law enforcement or because I just think we got to aggressively attack this problem. Anybody else got anything to say? Anybody else want?
I just have one little quick question. Can I ask the police chief?
Yeah.
When you were reading your report, Devin, you mentioned that I might have the figures not right. They're not wrong, but they're just not right. 200 and some tickets, I think it was.
We had
Traffic stops?
124 traffic stops and 50 traffic citations.
Well, my question is, what happened to the other 60 some that you stopped?
They're issued warnings.
And what happens to those warnings?
Just documented.
I mean, if they're picked up again, do you look back and say you were warned?
Yeah,
once?
usually we have history.
Okay, that's all. That's all. Thank you.
Anybody else?
So, as I alluded to earlier, in September, council, of which 4 of the current council members sat on, passed ordinance 5523, which was the council ethics and the rules of conduct. Last meeting, we decided to set that aside. That's not the correct process to do that. We can't just pick ordinances and decide we don't want to follow them. That was passed. It went through committee, went through several meetings of the committee, went through 2 readings, did not pass an emergency. Those are the rules that we had to look on, and we shouldn't be using those.
No.
If we want to be a transparent and a council that does things the right way for the right reasons, we need to have rules. Those are the rules that are in place.
Well, Justin, there's no way I'm going to sign that. If you think there's a penalty, you try to enforce it. But I think that we need to have the law director give an opinion on it. Have you looked at it yet?
I have not.
So if you think there's some penalty to that, me not signing it, and if anybody else wants to sign it, then feel free to sign it. But I personally think it's an affront to the First Amendment. And that there's things in there that set as penalties that go against the charter, and that I'm not gonna sign it, and if you wanna choose to try to do something about it, have at it. But I'm not going, and I'm not telling anybody else not to sign it, but I'm saying I want the law director to give an opinion on it. I personally had my attorney look at it, and he thought it was horrible and that it was unconstitutional and you could never enforce it. So, I
As a
think,
layperson, I was surprised that it even passed.
It was actually benchmarked with about 19 different cities across the state of Ohio, including Logan and Athens.
And actually, Mr. President, previously, the very original rules of city council have been in place for many years. Did you sign that one?
no, we didn't sign it, but I actually typed them up because I was Bill Lynn's clerk. But I understand it's going back in committee to develop new rules for council. And I hope to have the law director's opinion on them rules, but I'm not signing it. So if you think there's some penalty you can assign to me for not signing it, have at it.
So are you saying you're suspending the rules of council?
I'm saying I am not signing.
No, and that's not my question. You're suspending the rules.
No, anybody wants to sign it can sign it. I'm not
That's not my
signing.
question. Are you suspending the rules? of
No,
council?
I am not signing it because
Okay,
I find
well,
it wrong.
Actually, to suspend the rules, it takes 5 members of
I'm not
council.
suspending the rules.
Okay, I make
It's
a
not-
Do we
motion.
all have to sign that thing?
I'm sorry,
Do we have to sign the ethics thing that Greg, or that?
I'm not an attorney
No,
Well, I mean, so what are we arguing about?
exactly.
because it's the council rules and rules of
Well, then
conduct.
fine.
I don't think you
He's
can
just
require.
saying he's not
Go ahead.
signing it.
I don't think you can require anybody to sign anything against their will. And I would caution that, but I'm not signing it. So if you think that you can sign some
I don't think
penalty,
any of us have to sign it. He just said no one has to sign it.
well,
I didn't say no, I said I'm not an
I
attorney.
don't believe that it's written anywhere in the charter that says council must sign rules of whatever. They are there and they're meant to be followed. But you shouldn't have to sign something in order to follow them. I will go further and say, none of you signed anything for the last, how many years you've been on council?
I did when I was first appointed 2 years ago. I signed it.
well,
It's a code, it's the code of conduct too. It's not the rules, it's the code of conduct.
Correct.
But there's a board that I sent money to in Columbus called the Ethics Commission.
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't that cover code of ethics for our committee?
Yes.
I think very well does, Johnny, but let's have our newly hired law director look at that and give us an opinion on it. And let's work with the new committee to come up with, I think that the original rules had a lot of things in them that should have been kept, like one of them is that you were supposed to get the ordinances to the law director in time for him to get them to the clerk, and then they are supposed to be posted by charter. They're supposed to be posted by Friday at 7:30 p.m. or 7 o'clock p.m. And there's a lot of things that were in them original rules that had us abiding by the charter that was dropped. And I think we need to work all that out. We need to be able to get the ordinance and particularly that come up tonight, we didn't have an exhibit that the public could look at. And I think in an effort to be transparent, we need to get his opinion, work new rules that we can all agree with, but I don't think you can make anybody sign anything against their will.
And I do agree with the fact that, the information needs to be provided to council earlier. I know it's not your fault. Because I don't appreciate receiving the information this morning for a meeting that we're having the same day.
And on the same token, Rita, it's not fair to Susan
It's not.
to have stuff coming into her on Monday morning and her trying to get it
Exactly.
into the agenda and redoing the agenda. Let's try to come up with some normal order where everything is provided to the public, provided to all council. if it's provided to public ahead of time and they see something they don't like, they can come to council, come to the stand and object. And that's all I'm suggesting. I'm not signing it. If anybody wants to sign it, go ahead. And if you think there's some penalty you can assess to me, yeah, I'm willing to face that. Does anybody else have anything else? Now, on the executive session, somebody else is going to have to call that because I am going to not go into the executive session.
Yeah, the executive session, I need Chief Devin Tolliver, Jonathan Rowe, please, and Ken Bushing in the audience, who's from Reminger. And yes, I need to exclude you, President Greg Smith.
Okay, now, when you're talking to Kent, I'll be excluded. When you go into the other things, someone come out and get me so I can go back in.
Okay.
So you need Devin?
Mr. Sappington has a question.
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask if council's gonna act on the Christmas Day meeting before they adjourn.
I don't need Mr. Sappington right away. I need Ken, Jonathan, Chief Tolliver, and Greg, you can't come in, and then.
I have been planning on coming in, but when you get done talking to Kent, then I'll come back into the executive session.
Okay, thank you.
I got another question. I have a executive session under ORC 121-22G3 to discuss pending litigation with an attorney. Is something different for Devin, and do you have something different for Devin to discuss?
No, I need him in there. I just need him in there. Thank you.
You know what the purpose of it is.
I don't know.
Is it personnel and legal matters is what he's trying to clarify there, Tom? Yes, the announcement.
Oh, yes, that is correct, and,
Does it discuss personnel?
He said personnel and legal matters, yes.
Okay, well, then an executive session under ORC 121-22G3, which is discussed with an attorney pending legislation, and G1, which is to discuss personnel matters. Now, if someone will make that motion and second it, inviting in Devin, Ken Hushin, and Jonathan.
that's correct. Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Flower?
Yes.
Ms. Nguyen?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
I have a question for the attorney. Since I'm not going to go in for the Ken Hushin part of the meeting, do I need to abstain from voting on it?
If you can prove it appropriate to abstain, that would be great.
Okay, I'll abstain on the vote.
Sorry. Yes.
And when Mr. Hushin's done, somebody come out and get me.
I will.
Okay. All right. Motion, somebody make a motion to return to regular session.
Motion. Return to regular session.
Second. All right. Call the roll.
Ms. Nguyen?
Yes.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
I guess I'm gonna abstain since I did the first time.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Flower?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna open good of the order back up so people can plan committee meetings. Greg, go ahead with what you want to do.
Well, what we've done recently that seemed to work really well was all committees scheduled for the same night. If there's nothing to discuss, you just drop that committee, go down the list. And always have the finance committee scheduled for at the end. So if there's anything for them, they can discuss it. That way, everything's done in one night instead of, and if an individual committee needs to meet between that, fine. But that way, we're not running over here night after night, week after week for this committee, that committee. And it seemed to work really well when we did it. I don't know how.
I don't have any problem with it. Does anybody else have any problem? What night we want to do? Oh, wait a minute.
My only,
As a citizen, I love that.
Yeah, because you can stay all day.
yeah, my only issue is maybe start earlier, so
Yeah.
we're not here so late into the evening.
Yeah, and it of course depends on the content of each individual committee. There may not be a reason for Park and Rec to meet that night, so you can bump up the time. Absolutely, that'll have to be determined as we go.
So if we call committee meetings, are we gonna state what we're gonna do at the committee meeting?
You have to.
Okay, so the chairman will be responsible for getting that to Bear. Does everybody has Bear's email or phone number?
No.
If not, well, I don't wanna say it publicly, so we'll get it to you.
We can handle that through.
Yeah. Right.
Somebody's gonna have to give me a tutorial on what to do.
I would like to find, maybe after Jonathan gets a time to read the charter more and become more acclimated, I'd like to have him actually give a public meeting to all in Nelsonville on what you're talking about. You know, if that's, because I know some of us are old hands, but also I know a lot of people are new and.
Yeah, I don't wanna sit on a committee and botch it all up, you know.
No, what night do we want to, we got some committee meetings that are really pressing at the time, so what night do we want to do it?
It should be either this week or next week, because Christmas is right on top of us.
Want to do, oh, that's something else we gotta discuss, what we want to move the second meeting to. Want to move it to next Monday, or to like the 26th, 27th?
What would be the agenda?
I don't know, but it said, the charter says we're supposed to have 2 meetings, so I don't know. I'm okay if everybody wants to cancel the second meeting, but.
It's been done before.
Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to be here between Christmas and New Year's.
Good for me, but we need a motion to that, I'll make that motion.
And I'll second.
That was quick. I saw the roll.
Mr. Taylor?
Yes.
Mr. Clement?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Sonic?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
You.
No,
Yes.
now we have some pressing committee meetings that need met. And Taylor's left, so I don't know if finance needs to meet on anything, but
Maybe we should coordinate with Tom, talking to the department heads to see what we need. That would.
well, but can we try to set what night we want to have them here, or?
Well, if we're doing all that, it'd be kind of difficult yet this week to get everything in line. So we could make it the
Maybe Monday?
first part of next week.
Say Monday, I would rather not.
Tuesday?
My daughter plays Mondays.
Okay, would Tuesday be better for all of them? So we say we start at 5 o'clock,
5:30 would be better.
5:30, I'm just trying to get something everybody can agree
I'm
to.
coming from Pomeroy, so.
Well, if you need to.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I live in Pomeroy. I live over here. See my house.
Tuesday, what's the date Tuesday? That's the 18th, 19th? Tuesday the 19th, what are we gonna start with?
We can figure that out in our email chain. We don't really have.
Okay. So we're gonna start all committee meetings at 5:30 on Tuesday the 19th.
And we have been allowing like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, depending on the agenda.
Who's in charge of utilities? That might take,
See, there you go.
yeah,
So
put them at the
the
end.
chairman has to determine how much time they think they're gonna need. And then go from there.
Okay. The other problem is I hate to have the email this guy don't go past.
It's all public record.
It's all things we're gonna be discussing in our meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody's on.
Okay,
Yeah.
So we're talking about December the 19th.
yeah, starting at 5 o'clock.
5:30. 5:30.
5:30, starting at 5:30 with, who's on police and fires, who's on police and fires?
Police, I wrote it down.
You are,
Who else?
I am as well, I think.
can you make it 5:30? Nancy, can you make it 5:30? Okay, we'll start with the police at 5:30
On the 19th.
on the 19th.
Okay, got it.
And then,
I do have something. I need to check my calendar to see if I have any doctor's appointments during that time, because I can't change my appointment.
okay. Can you-
So can we have 2 days? So the 19th and another day, so that if that one
Yeah.
doesn't work, maybe the
Yeah,
other one does?
we'll just have to get it to bear when your meeting is. And I can do either day. Who else?
Or we could, or what, I think what she's asking is like, we could just move to Wednesday, right? Like all the meetings on Wednesday.
Right, so all I'm saying
So
is.
Tuesday doesn't work for you, then Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying, let's discuss it in email chain instead of.
Okay.
That way we can all check our calendars, and
Yeah.
make sure we're all coordinated.
Okay. Well, actually, every chairman, you could just announce a meeting after they talk to people on the committee.
I'll do 5:30 on Tuesday.
Can you make that, Nancy?
Yes.
Who else is on there? Can you make that, Greg?
Okay, great.
Okay. And who's the chairman of the utilities? I should be able to, I made them up, I should be able. You are? So you'll have to call what time you want your utility meeting. And we'll get that done. We're good. Is there anything else on the good order?
Yes,
Okay.
mayor's court, we never resolved that.
Oh,
Per the charter, I believe mayor's court rules are already set.
well, per Ohio law is already set, but what I would like to do, you explain the problems with having a non-attorney run mayor's court.
You're not allowed to.
You're not allowed.
Unless it's the person, well, so the charter describes the president of council as the mayor for purposes of presiding over mayor's court. That's the only non-attorney who's permitted to preside over.
Or the vice president and.
Correct.
When the.
Correct. And for purposes of mayor's court, the vice president of council is designated vice mayor.
And I think because of people not being attorneys and not understanding, the law and things, I think it would be better for us if we hired a magistrate to run mayor's court, which is provided for in the mayor's court law.
But do we have that kind of money?
It's no more than having the prosecutor here, and a magistrate would be able to run the meeting without a prosecutor here.
That runs counter to the charter in 408.
So
It says the mayor shall preside over mayor's court and supervise the bailiff of the court.
Yeah, because the
see what
council president's getting paid more.
See, that brings up another thing.
Responsibility.
If the mayor is supervising the clerk, then you also have 505 that says a council member shall not direct an employee. And now we have a full-time clerk that is being supervised by the chief of police that is now being, so I have Jonathan look and see if that's actually to hire a magistrate if that violates the charter. Can you do that and give us an opinion? Yeah, but I think, I'm not against doing the mayor's court. I don't think everybody is, but I think to be fair to all the public coming in, that they have an attorney that actually knows what should be going on. And
Well, the prosecutor is an attorney, right? So the prosecutor will be there.
but he can only make recommendations, he can't run it. And
Well, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's there as an attorney, so can advise on.
Well,
Generally, our city attorney is there at mayor's court. Now, please, I'm
Yeah, it's been the
support.
city's
I know who
Bob
is there.
used to go to the meeting?
Yes, he did.
Okay.
It was always Bob or Andy with the mayors.
And the prosecutor runs the municipal court.
Oh, I understand.
Well, so what we're asking is
So that
to
would be-
reinvent the wheel and by the first meeting or the first mayor's court in January.
no, we're not asking that. If we could.
Well, that's what we're doing.
So Mr. Rowe can't be there then?
Can I read? So,
Yeah.
section 32.13 of the Code of Ordinances states the Director of Law, the city attorney shall be prosecuting attorney of the mayor's court. So that's part of his duties
per the ordinance is to appear as prosecuting attorney for the mayor's court.
So that would be you? Wow, that's never been done, has it? Nancy just said it was. What'd you say?
Nancy just said, yeah, it was.
I was the clerk of courts at one time, John. So the city attorney was always here with the presiding judge or
Okay,
president.
I see.
So when they come to court, do they have any type of defense?
They can bring an attorney if they want to, but normally they don't.
In that regard, in mayor's court,
Misdemeanors.
if you plead not guilty, you really should immediately be transferred to municipal
And
court.
that's what they do.
Because there's a couple federal cases that says that a mayor can't fairly judge a case if he's got financial consideration. But I'm telling you, I've been to mayor's court. I've been in mayor's court training like 20 times, and they always bring up this federal case in Cleveland where they lost their hind ends because the mayor was involved in finances of the city, which we're all involved in finances of the city, and the appeals court ruled that you couldn't be impartial if you was fining people and you were involved in the finances of the city, and I could give you the court site, but whatever. That's always the first thing that comes up in mayor's court training about. If you have a contested case, send it to municipal court. And that's what our policy has been, at least when Nancy was there. So, what I'm saying is you can either come in and you can plead guilty or you can plead no contest. If you plead guilty, you're guilty. If you plead no contest, the officer reads a statement. If the elements of the crime are included in the statement, then you're found guilty.
So are we tabling this until we decide if the magistrate's gonna be hired or?
Well, if he's gonna be coming to mayor's court every time, he's probably gonna keep the city out of any.
Mr. President, you already have your training for that anyway, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're good to.
Yeah, we're good for right now. I'm just saying.
And then you'll just have to get your mayor's court training as vice president.
I don't know. I gotta
We're good. That's all we need.
Once you go online, you don't have to get it.
I think, and I'll have Jonathan check this out. On the mayor's court training,
Do it online. There's a live webinar you can take. President goes to Columbus.
what's it cost?
I don't recall, it's been a few years.
Cause we're gonna have to get,
If you're gonna be, okay, as president and you're already trained, she can get it as vice president and then she can cover if you're not here. We're good. We're good. And then Jonathan will be here. We don't need to hire a magistrate and spend an.
well, I was just talking about paying the magistrate instead of since he read the charter.
Well, let's get the opinion of the charter.
I can do that.
Yeah.
Let's go. All right. Motion to adjourn.
All right, yeah.
Second.
By Mr. Clement,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Sonic,
Yes.
Mr. Booth,
Yes.
Mr. Flowers.
C. Yes. For the
Ms.
bilingual.
Nguyen,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor.
Yeah.